Good afternoon, Year 6, and welcome to today's geography lesson, where we are looking at the changing coasts again. Now, we're going to be looking at how water and weather can change coastlines, and explain how water and weather has changed the coastline of the UK over time. Now, just as a quick recap, can you remember the different features of the coastlines? So we've got the coast, the edge of the land. We have the bay, headlands. Remember, where water, the waves from the sea, erode away at the softer rock, giving us bays where the harder rock that takes longer to erode leaves us with these headlands. We've got the beach, which is made up of sand. Dunes, where sand has been blown into sort of mini hills. We have got the bay. Cliffs, arches, stacks and stumps, and of course a spit. So they are features of coastlines. Now I'm going to show you a video where you will see and have a quick recap of how rocks are turned into sand. We'll then be talking about how this erosion has changed the southwest of England. So sit back and enjoy.
Matt and I are heading off to Carefry Beach, which is deserted. But what this beach does have is a perfect explanation as to how beaches are formed.
Our story about beach formation starts up there, towards the back of the beach. Okay, Matt, I need your help for a moment. Now, we know that the sea erodes the cliffs. When this happens, large rocks fall away from the cliffs and into the sea. These rocks are big and have sharp edges like this one. There you go, Matt, come back on the beach for us. The rock's tossed about by the waves as the sea comes crashing in. As it's knocked about, the edges become eroded, worn away, like this one, producing a smoother kind of rock. There you go, Matt. These rocks are knocked about and eroded further until you get large pebbles, like this one. The sea does its job again, eroding the pebbles still further until you get much smaller ones, like this. These pebbles are swept along by the sea and ground together until they become sand. And there you have it. Large pointy rocks gradually eroded to become smoother, smaller pebbles and eventually sand. And that is how a beach is made.
So hopefully that was a nice little recap of how sand is formed and how beaches are made. Now we're going to be looking at the south coast of England and southwest, and this area down at the bottom here. And we're going to look at how the coastal changes have affected that area. Now here are some examples, and I'm going to focus on some of these here. So let's look at these photographs. Have a think, how did it used to look? How might it change in the future? And why is this a positive or a negative thing? So let's have a look at this first one here. Think about how the land may have looked originally. What might happen to it in the future? And of course, how has this affected the local area? We'll have a think. It's a very picturesque view, this, isn't it? Very picturesque. It will probably improve tourism. People will probably go there to have their photograph taken near it or take a photograph of it, which will obviously improve jobs and the local economy. Another thing to think about would be habitats. What would it do to habitats around this area? Habitats in the sea, as caves are formed, shallower waters near here, shade. Again, not a big open sea, it's a bit more it's quieter, and it's less harsh to local wildlife. What would it do to wildlife up here in the top areas? Okay, quite positive things there, you would reckon. Here's another photograph here. Again, how would this have looked originally? We've obviously got the dunes here, the sea that would come in. Would this now act as an actual breakup? What about the land that is now being grown here? If it was all one beach, would we have this grass growing? Would it become more fertile? Would it be better to grow certain crops in this area because of the fertile land? Again, another positive. And again, look at this very beautiful picture here from Dorset in the southwest of England. Again, positives can be taken from this. Think of the tourism as boats could come in and dock, picturesque views, tourists, money being spent, all positive possibilities. And of course, there are negatives there as well. Think how this would have looked originally. This would have been across here, there would have been no bay. It would have come across, it would have just been land. Now then, we are going to watch another video about coastal change and possibly the negative parts of some coastal change. Now, this is the Holderness Coast in the east of England, okay? And it'll talk through mostly some of the negative parts of coastal change and how this can affect people and the environment around it. So sit back and enjoy.
There are some coastlines in the UK which we don't control. Nature is in charge. Here on the East Coast, Liz Turner has lived on her farm for 13 years. But it's been getting closer and closer to the sea. One day, it too will be sacrificed to the waves.
It never occurred to me that I wouldn't be able to leave this to my children. It never occurred to me that there wouldn't be something here.
Liz Turner lives at Holderness, a section of coastline on the east coast of the UK, just north of the Humber estuary. It includes the seaside town of Withernsea. But 1,000 years ago, the coastline looked very different. There was much more land. Since then, about 30 villages like Hyde, Newsham and Hotton have been lost to the sea, as well as many homes and farms in between. The sea has worn away the land. It's called coastal erosion. And it can happen overnight. But why is this coastline at the mercy of the sea? And why does the erosion happen so quickly and unpredictably? These children from Withernsea Junior School have come to investigate. Some of them live on vulnerable coastal land, so it's an important issue for them. Erosion is so dramatic here because the cliffs along the Holderness coast are made from boulder clay. It's a very soft, crumbly rock.
Just feel what it feels like between your fingers. That's it. All right, very good.
When it's wet, it's even weaker.
Okay, so if you touch the rock now and see what it feels like, see if it feels like it's more kind of, it comes away more easily or not. Touch that. Oops. Look down just at the foot of the cliff there. What can you see where the water has run down it there? It's washed it away. It's a kind of silty deposit it's at the bottom there.
So heavy rains and sea storms make the erosion even worse. But despite the destructive power of the waves, people like Liz Turner still enjoy living on this coastline.
I can't really imagine living anywhere else, to be absolutely honest, because I love the sea and I just walk out my back door with the dogs and it's there. I love the wind because it's never quiet here, there's always something.
But one day, Liz Turner's farm will topple into the sea. The cliff at the edge of her land is being eaten away.
Excellent. So it is now your turn to now put what you've learnt into action. So you'll need to think about the different coastal features created by erosion and deposition and the story of Liz Turner. So you're going to have to answer questions such as what are the positive aspects of coastal change, so what are the good things about coastal change. Now I talked a lot about that, about the southwest of England, so that was this sort of box on the side here. A lot of it has been done there for you from my speaking. What's the negative aspects of coastal change? So what's the bad things with coastal change? How is it a bad thing? So you need to think about the good things and the bad things and how it has affected people. And at the bottom of your sheet, it would say, would you want to live in an area of the UK that has been affected by coastal changes? And you will need to explain why. So not just yes or no, but why. Why would you want to live there? Or why would you not want to live there? And again, answer in full sentences explaining your reasoning. So, Year 6. If you have any questions, you can send me a message and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. But you are looking at the positive and negative aspects, so the good things and the bad things of coastal change, and how it has affected people in both the east and southwest coast of England. And then explain your reasonings why you would like to or you would not like to live in those areas. Thank you very much, Year 6. Goodbye.